Did you know there are 7 specific parts that, if they're original on your Silverado, can make it worth 3 times more than an identical one without them? And 90% of owners have no idea they're sitting on a gold mine. Even worse, people are selling rare Silverados for scrap prices because they don't know how to recognize these parts. I personally saw a 454 SS being sold for $8,000 because the owner swapped one of these parts. If you have a Silverado from the 90s or 2000s, stop everything you're doing and stay here because what I'm about to show you could completely change the value of your investment.
Look, I've spent the last 15 years buying, selling, and appraising classic pickups. I've seen fortunes lost because someone modernized an original part. And I've also seen common trucks become $50,000, $60,000 relics because they kept everything original. And before we continue, if you don't want to lose money through ignorance, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell, because this information I'm about to give you, you won't find in any manual or dealership. And stick around until the end, because part number 7 will shock you. It's something everyone throws away, but it can be worth more than the truck's engine.
Part 1. Original rally wheels. First part that can triple your Silverado's value: original 15 or 16-inch rally wheels. You can't imagine how many times I've seen guys selling these wheels for $200, $300 at yard sales, thinking they were making a good deal. The heartache when I tell them a complete set of these wheels is worth $2,000 to $4,000. But why are they so valuable? 3 reasons that will surprise you. First, GM stopped making these wheels in 2002. They don't exist anymore. 0. Done. Second, they were expensive options. They cost almost $1,500 back then, more than many people paid for an entire used car. Third, and here's where it gets interesting, these wheels were made specifically for the rarest SS and Z71 versions. Finding a set without scratches, with original center caps and perfect chrome rings is like finding treasure. I know a collector in Nevada who has 12 SS Silverados. He told me he'd pay $5,000 today for a perfect set of 16-inch rally wheels from a 454 SS. $5,000 for wheels. Part number 2 that 99% of people don't know exists: the original onboard computer from top-tier versions. This one hurts deep. How many times I've seen people ripping out these computers to install aftermarket stereos. It's like burning money, literally. This discreet little computer, which sat in the dashboard of the most equipped Silverado LT and Z71 versions, is worth $800 to $1,500 today. Working, it can reach $2,000. Why? Because back then it was cutting-edge technology. It showed instant fuel economy, outside temperature, digital compass, stopwatch, things that seem basic today, but in 1999, it was NASA stuff. And here's the detail few people know. This computer only came in the most expensive versions and had an extremely high failure rate. Most died over time. Finding a working one is rarer than hen's teeth. Last week, I found a 2001 Silverado LT in a junkyard. The guy was gonna sell it for $1,500. When I saw it had the original computer working, I offered $3,000 on the spot. He thought I was crazy. After 3 days of research, he called me accepting the offer. Just the computer was worth almost that. Part 3. Original GM leather seats. Third part that separates common Silverados from collector Silverados: original GM leather seats. And look, this is tragic. I've lost count of how many rare Silverados I've seen with cheap aftermarket leather seats installed because the owner thought they improved the truck. Original GM seats were made by specific suppliers, mainly Johnson Controls and Lear Corporation. The leather came from Germany, the tanning process was specialized, and each seat had a serial number that matched the vehicle's VIN. Want to know the real difference? A 2002 Silverado Z71 with cloth seats is worth on average $12,000. The same truck, same condition, but with original leather seats, $18,000 to $22,000. That's $6,000 to $10,000 difference because of the seats.
And there's more. GM used 3 different types of leather over the years. The rarest is the medium neutral from 2003 to 2004. Just this specific leather adds $3,000 to the truck's value. There are collectors who buy Silverados just for the seats and sell the rest.
Part number 4 that many people don't even know existed, the center console with integrated cooler. This console was optional only on LT and Z71 versions from 2001 to 2006. It cost over $800 back then, used car money. That's why less than 3% of Silverados left the factory with it. But what a genius contraption! It was a giant console that had a real cooler inside with ventilation connected to the air conditioning. You put a soda can in there and it stayed cold even with the car off for hours. Today, one of these working consoles is worth $1,200 to $2,500 used. Imagine new in box. I've seen auctions reaching $4,000. The worst part is people removing these consoles to install those little universal $50 consoles from AutoZone. It's like trading a Rolex for a Casio and thinking you upgraded.
Part 5. G80 rear differential. 5th part that makes all the difference in value. The G80 rear differential. GM's famous GovLock. This is where we separate truck experts from people who just drive them. The G80 isn't a common differential. It's an electronically controlled limited slip differential that only came in the most off-road oriented versions. In practice, this means your Silverado never gets stuck in mud or sand again. The system detects when one wheel is spinning and automatically transfers power to the wheel with more traction. It's like having all-wheel drive on the rear axle. A Silverado Z71 without the G80 is worth, on average, $15,000. The same truck, but with original G80, between $19,000 to $24,000. That's almost $10,000 difference because of one component. And here's the cruel detail. This differential breaks if misused. Most Silverados that had original G80 now have common differentials because they broke and owners didn't know the value of what they were losing.
Part 6. Original headlights with crystal lenses. 6th part that can multiply value. Original headlights with crystal lenses. In the 90s and early 2000s, GM still used tempered crystal lenses in headlights. It wasn't cheap plastic like today. It was real crystal, clearer, more durable, with perfect reflection. The problem is crystal breaks. And when it broke, everyone ran to Walmart and bought those yellowed plastic aftermarket headlights. Result? Today, it's almost impossible to find Silverados with perfect original headlights. A set of original headlights, no cracks, no oxidation, with perfect crystal lenses is worth $1,500 to $3,000. I've seen cases reaching $4,000 for SS versions or limited editions. Want to know if headlights are original? Look at the marking on the glass. If it has DOT SAE engraved in the crystal along with the GM code, it's original. If it's plastic or has other brands, there goes the collector value. Part number 7, which will shock you, the original VATS chip key. I know, you're probably thinking this crazy guy is saying a key is worth money. Hold on, you'll understand. GM's VATS, Vehicle Anti-Theft System, used keys with resistive chips. Each key had a specific electrical resistance. Without the correct key, the car simply wouldn't start, period. An original VATS key working with the correct chip for rare Silverados like SS or limited versions is worth $500 to $2,000. One key. Why? Because when the VATS system had problems, most mechanics simply removed the entire system. It was easier than fixing it. Result, finding a rare Silverado with original working VATS is like finding a unicorn. Last month, a guy offered me a 1994 454 SS for $25,000.
Fair price. When I went to see it, I discovered someone had removed the VATS. Know how much I offered? $15,000. He was outraged. I explained that without original VATS, the truck lost 40% of its collector value. If you have rare Silverado and it still works with the original VATS key, never, but never let anyone mess with this system. It's better to spend $500 on a repair than lose 10 grand in the truck's value.
So, summing up, if your Silverado has these 7 original parts, you don't have a common truck. You have an investment that will only appreciate. First thing you're going to do when this video ends, go to your truck and check how many of these parts you still have. Then come back here and tell us in the comments. I respond to all of them. And if you discovered you have one of these parts, comment which one and how long you've had the Silverado. Let's build a community of people who know the real value of classics. Next week, I'm going to reveal the 5 modifications that most destroy a classic Silverado's value. One of them is so common that 80% of owners do it, but it completely kills collectors' interest. If this video helped you understand what really adds value to a Silverado, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now, because here you'll learn to see opportunities where others see scrap metal. See you next time, and remember, knowledge is money in the classic car world.